Hello everyone and welcome to the summary of turn 6 of my solo playthrough of Axis and Allies Stalingrad. A lot happened this round, as you can see, and as you can tell by the Operation Winter Storm marker, Operation Uranus was launched this round. But let's first start with the city board. Again, as in my previous video, I placed a few Japanese markers here from Memoir 44 to remind me that I need to say something about those things, so it's not like all of a sudden the Japanese have made their appearance in Stalingrad, which is, of course, possible in many other iterations of Axis and Allies, where it's not entirely unseen that you have Japanese troops in the Caucasus, at least in that region. But anyway, I digress. As you can see, there are no longer any German units here, meaning that on the next turn they won't be able to collect any RPCs from these areas, because for the Germans they not only need to be controlled, they need to be occupied. But I did that on purpose because, without those units I wouldn't stand a chance whatsoever of being able to launch any attack into Pavlov's house. So that's what I did here. Actually, I wanted to place this one over here. That was a mistake, so I'm correcting that now, because on the next round I may be able to land into the grain elevator and take it without a fight. And if the Germans want to achieve a total victory, which is going to be difficult, they need to control, not occupy, they need to control all RP areas on the city board and be able to trace supply out of the city. It's going to be difficult, but they're certainly doing better than I thought they would be a couple of rounds ago. So they did take a few other areas without a fight. They moved a couple of units in here. They moved some infantry in here from Gumrak. One over here, one over here. So at least they didn't lose any units. That is, they did lose a few to sniper fire or ambushes. Here, I believe, once there was a roll of 1, once there was a roll of 2. If you roll a 1 with an ambusher, you actually choose the casualty as the attacker. If you roll a 2, then the defender chooses as normal. And in one case, they lost a tank. I believe it was here because a 1 was rolled. It's not possible that it was there. Well, it must have been over here then in Pavlov's house on the Russian counterattack, by the way. So the Russian attack turn of the turn. Nothing happened. They were all misses. But anyway, as far as the ambushers go, 2 casualties were caused, and I believe there was also a casualty caused by the Katyusha rocket launchers on that segment of the turn. Over here in the north, the Germans are steadily moving towards the few areas they do not yet control, but certainly the factory over here, Barricada factory probably, yes, that's right, is going to be a very tough nut to crack with the few forces the Germans have remaining. So I think it's asking a bit too much for the Germans to be able to take everything, but anyway, they'll die trying, probably quite literally, back in the day. On the region board, what happened? Well, prior to Operation Uranus being launched, the Romanians or Italians or whatever they are, anyway, the Axis miners moved into Krasnoarmeysk. I guess it's got to do something with the Red Army, as far as I know. Krasno is red and Armeysk sounds like army, so maybe it's something like that. That they caused 1 casualty or something on the Russian turn. Of course, I first accidentally put some Operation Uranus units in here, but they're not allowed to be placed here until round 7. So all the units have to be placed here, which is okay. You can overstack. Stacking is only checked after the movement phase, so that was okay. Yeah, and a few tanks. 2 pairs, basically a tank with a mechanized infantry, another tank with a mechanized infantry, moved from here through Tinguta and blitzed over here. Yeah, they don't have a lot of infantry that could actually take, cheap shots if the Germans decide to attack. On the German turn, the Germans landed a supply here. They're hoping to hold on to Potomnik no matter what. At the very least, that will secure them a minor victory then if they actually managed to do that. They landed an infantry here with an airdrop as well as a supply. Guess they're going to need some more supplies, but you know, who knows, maybe that's going to happen on the next turn. They do have a couple of bombers here or transports. They have double duty as far as that's concerned, and there are a few supply tokens, so they could drop a few more here on the next turn. Operation in the north wasn't terribly. Operation Uranus in the north wasn't terribly successful. They didn't manage a single breakthrough. The Germans and the Axis miners rolled incredibly well. At least 2 or 3 hits, sometimes even more on the return rolls. Of course, the river is not yet frozen. There would be a bigger chance of that on turn 7, but yeah, I felt that might be too late, even though, you know, they could take their chances. As I said, it will be very tough for the Germans to actually capture all the victory areas, but, you know, they are pretty close. So they didn't manage yet to make a single breakthrough, but, you know, that's undoubtedly going to happen on the next round, and probably even already on the German attack segment of the turn, meaning that the Russians will be free to move out on their turn. But then again, I kept these 2 mobile assault guns here, and I could move them over here, for instance, or one over there, which might again, yeah, that will probably be the move I'm going to make. I'm going to place 1 infantry over here to hopefully delay them 1 more turn, and then yeah, the assault guns over here. Well, anyway, something like that, which will probably delay the Russians even more. Over here as well, it was basically the same all over the place. They didn't manage a breakthrough anywhere, despite 1 hit by a rocket launcher or something like that. So yeah, a lot happened. These units might prove to be critical for delaying the Russians for even 1 more turn. Yeah, so that's what happened. Very eventful turn, quite literally in this particular case. Yeah, so see you after the next round, and again, thank you for watching.